Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 13th of February, comes to you from London. And if you're new to Charts Today, take a look at the link below on this page on how to interpret the charts that I cover. Remembering this is my long term, my medium term, and my short term, and this data is coming from Thomson Reuters Icon, if you're a private user, Metastock Zenith, which is exactly the same data service. It's amazing. So we start by looking at the dollar. Just retracing a little bit, coming back to support, but still bullish with this upside target and bullish on all three time frames. So the dollar strength still the theme. Euro weakness as a result, hitting resistance. This is Eurodollar hitting resistance, downside pressure with these targets. So bearish on all three time frames. The yen, we're seeing the dollar climbing here. This is starting to come into the medium term range, and so we're starting to see the dollar looking more bullish here, 2% upside target, and dollar strength normally shows up against the yen first. Sterling, we're seeing bearish against that stronger dollar. Against the euro, we're actually fairly flat. Against the Swiss franc, also fairly flat and bearish, and against the Aussie dollar, just turning more bearish. Bitcoin continues to fall, so not much change there. The stock market last night was up quite strongly. We saw the S&P 500 index up 1.3%, the Nasdaq also up. So we're seeing the recovery continue really, and that's given us some. We had a little bit of a wobble here the last few days, but then yesterday we're back on track. Trade talks, optimism pushing the markets higher, and we're seeing the Dow just starting to come into territory where it make a transition into positive territory on the daily chart or the Ichimoku chart. The Russell 2000 also pushing higher, so we're seeing strength across the board. The S&P future is up 0.3% and the Nasdaq E-mini up 0.5%, suggesting will see the US Open even higher today. FTSE 100 index sitting up 0.5% this morning, not quite yet into bullish territory on the medium-term chart, and the long-term chart, unlike the US charts, has more work to do to get to bullish territory. The 250 similar picture really, and the DAX fell quite heavily over the last few days. Now just starting its recovery as well, sort of many coming back into medium term territory here on the cloud, but still has some work to do. And short term, we're not quite through yet. We're up 0.7% this morning. CAC Quarante is actually clearly bullish on the short term chart. It's been the more resilient market actually most of the last several months, and we're seeing that pushing higher. So short term bullish there. Japan was up 1%, the Hang Seng was up 1.6%, and China surged up 1.8%. We're starting to see really clear case here of medium-term recovery. We will get an upside target off this thrust, but we still do have downside targets hanging over us and no clear short-term upside targets. So it will be interesting to see how long this rally lasts. The Indian market up slightly, but still bullish on all three time frames, and the Aussie market was down 0.25%, but still looking pretty bullish on all three time frames. Brent crude hit $63 this morning, so that's looking more bullish short term, and WTI also making the transition to short term bullish, so we're seeing a 4% upside potential here, so that is now looking much better. US nat gas sitting at $2.60, just in the doldrums around this level, and gold pushing a little bit higher at 13.12. We've got new upside targets here, and the 1 minute chart suggests that we will break those targets. So it does look like gold has scope to do another run, having legged up, sideways. If we break to higher, then gold will run another leg. Silver also looking more bullish as well. US 10-year yields sitting just a little bit better at 2.69% and back into short-term bullish, and German bonds looking strong still on all three time frames. Over to looking at the stocks, and for the stocks I use Yahoo data. Here's my just the world indices taking stock. We see here most of the Asian markets were bullish, Europe's bullish, and the US last night was bullish. This data all coming from Yahoo Finance. So we take a look first of all at the US stocks. Look at the bellwethers. We've got Google up 2.3%, Amazon were up 3%, and so they're starting to look pretty strong. and then Apple being the real bellwether that we look at is still got work to do, but it was up 0.86%, so not as strong as the market, and that's really still showing up in the relative strength against the Dow here. But we are finding some support on Apple. Facebook was actually down, so they didn't do very well in a rising market yesterday. And if we look at some of the other stocks, Microsoft up 1.5%, so still holding very clearly their bull trend. Short term still have a bit of work to do. The on balance volume here just not quite following through. Remember, this is all free data from Yahoo Finance, and if we go through to Tesla, they were also down in a rising market, so down 1/3%. So they're just struggling to perform as well. Looking at the Aussie market, just looking at the leaders, we've got Northern Star Resources up 7.5%. Just nudging new highs, lots of upside targets, so that's a good looking stock this morning. Emeco also a big jump in November and just holding on to that, so that's also looking pretty good. Computer share up 6%, and Beach Energy up 5%. So we are seeing transitions and a lot of stocks back into medium term territory, but not everything is going up, of course. We've got Pact Group down 8%, Bapcor down nearly 8%, and carsales.com down 5.4%. So we are still seeing some big fallers in the market. China was bullish on pretty well every single stock, so that's just showing it was really broad based. And we're seeing here China Galaxy Securities up strongly. Qingdao Hela actually looking pretty good on the chart, but they were the only faller overnight. Looking at the Indian market, again going for the leaders first, we've got Z Entertainment. They're up 3% this morning after pretty catastrophic falls at the start of the year last month. NTPC also up 2%, but again the chart's not looking great. Coal India also not looking great. What we're seeing here is the risers and the fallers. The fallers are actually the better looking charts generally. We see Bharti Infratel, that's looking good medium term, still got work to do long term. Hero Motor Group also not looking so good. Housing development actually holding its bullish stance above the clouds, so this is one of the better looking stocks with multiple upside targets, so still looking pretty good there. Moving over to European markets, we first of all start by looking at the FTSE 100 index, and if we go to the FTSE 100, we'll start by looking at the risers. DS Smith up nearly 4%. That's looking a bit better after a catastrophic 2018. Not bullish by any means on the chart. Rolls-Royce actually seeing a turnaround, finding long-term support and actually looking better. We've got upside targets, but some resistance showing through here. We're seeing the improvement in the relative there. Here we're seeing the live prices coming in for FTSE off Yahoo. Johnson Matthey up nearly 2%. And Antofagasta actually looking more bullish medium term. Taking a look at the downside, we've got TUI still looking dire after last week's big fall. This week they're also posting further falls, so we haven't seen the bottom yet for TUI, and we've got massive downside targets for the 39% downside, so expect to see some bad news coming there to match that target. Looking at the 250 and the UK, the mid caps, plus 500 down 4%. They had a massive fall yesterday, just gapped completely down. That's showing now as a big weekly candle down, so not looking great there. Genesis Group also not looking great. If we look at the upside, we've got Nvidia up 3%, not enough to really change the chart picture here. Dunelm Group reporting this morning, this stock looking really quite interesting. Upside target now of 123%. The chart really rising on the positive results there, and really as retailers goes, Dunelm is really bucking the trend, and we're seeing that in the charts very much so. Taking a look last of all at Europe, if we look at the Euro stocks 600, we've got Kindred Group up 7%. That's starting to look more bullish on the chart there. This is Stockholm, and we're seeing another Stockholm stock here, Swedish Match, looking pretty strong as well. And in Paris, Ingenco looking quite good, but the chart not looking as good, but they're up 6% this morning. On the downside, just looking for the big falls, Tremonos down 7.8%, so just hitting medium-term resistance on the chart. ABN AMRO Group up down 6%. So again, not looking as strong there. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.